Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show that I want to start with a question. How do you feel when Sunday rolls around, you've had an amazing weekend? Do you start to get anxious as Sunday evening starts to roll around? Thinking about the work week ahead, do you have anxiety? Do you have fear? Do you have dread? Well, if you are nodding your head yes, then you know what? You might be having the Sunday Scaries. And you know what? That is a real thing. So I'm going to be talking about that in this episode. I'm going to define what they are and give you some tips to decode why you might be feeling the Sunday Scaries. So before we get going, if you're new to my channel, hey, make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell. I don't want you missing any of the awesome content that I'm always giving you. And if you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I am a relationship expert and the author of Boundary Boss. And you can get that at boundarybossbook.com. And I also want to say thank you for all of your questions and your comments. I love how interactive this channel is. So I love to highlight your comments. So this one is from Mahara, and it's under the episode called How to Be Your Own Valentine. And she says, wow, thank you, Terri. After seeing this video and listening to your message, I realize how much I have neglected myself for much too long. I have downloaded the self-love guide and will set up a Zen-den. I can't wait to get started. Life is really hard these days and the world is such a busy place. Somehow I got lost in the shuffle. Thank you for being this lifeboat. Be well. Well, thank you so much for saying so. I'm so happy that the content is helping you because that is what it is all about. All right, now let's move into today's content. What are the Sunday Scaries? Let's just start from that place. So sometimes this is referred to as the Sunday night blues. So this describes a feeling of dread or anxiety that starts on Sunday in anticipation of your work week ahead. And now listen, for you, it might start the moment you wake up, or it might not happen until later in the day or more towards evening, or it might get progressively worse throughout the day because it's different for everyone. So it can really present with the same signs as anxiety, which is a racing heart, headache, sweating, a sense of dread or impending doom. You might have an upset stomach, problem sleeping, you might be shaking, you might feel depressed, you might have resentment or anger, sadness, loneliness. There's a whole bunch of things that happen when we are feeling anxious. So that's kind of the physical and emotional aspect of it. What is the difference? These are the questions that have come into me about the Sunday Scaries. And I actually was just on a panel about 6 weeks ago with a bunch of other mental health experts talking about this because it really has become such a thing. It's been around for a long time, but it seems like everyone is talking about it. So I just figured I will share with you the questions that I am answering for other people. So what's the difference between the Sunday Scaries and a diagnosable anxiety disorder? Well, here's the biggest difference is that the Sunday Scaries are predictable, right? They happen on Sunday. And what they cause is like identifiable anxiety. That's what we call it, meaning you're feeling anxiety about the work week, going to work. Maybe you have a job you hate. Maybe you have an abusive boss. Maybe you have a big presentation. But it's sort of specific. And that really isn't true. For generalized anxiety disorder or different diagnoses for depression, we don't really see necessarily that cause and effect. So that is how we know that it's the Sunday Scaries and not just an anxiety disorder. Then the question is, how normal is this? And, there was a study done in 2017. Now keep in mind that's pre-pandemic. And according to that survey that NBC actually shared, 76% of Americans at that point self-reported having really bad, in quotes, Sunday night anxiety. So, and for me, the feedback I've gotten in my private practice and people in my courses and in my groups is that people are really feeling this. And even more so now, because we've, spent 2 years in a pandemic, and dealing with everything that happened there, all of the unrest across the world right now. There are so many other things that are adding to it. So I bet if they redid that study right now, the number would be instead of 76%, probably, I don't even know, 86%, right? Then the question really is, why are you feeling this way? Like, what are the things that create those feelings? Well, one, from a psychological point of view, that transitioning from weekend mode, right, to work or responsibility mode, even if you like what you do, can create anxious thoughts, right? Performance anxiety, because when you think about it, the cognitive load that we have on the weekend is usually lighter than when we are full swing in our work week. So you might have this experience even in a job that you like, but it just might feel overwhelming, and you might feel it on Sundays. So what are the other things, right, that can provoke Sunday scaries? Well, perfectionism for sure, anticipatory anxiety if you have a big presentation, like I was saying before, or maybe you just suffer from social anxiety and your work requires you to interact with people in a way that kicks up your anxiety. You might also have maybe unfinished work from the week before. Maybe you didn't rest on the weekend. Maybe you are really hungover, because being hungover and dehydration absolutely exacerbates anxiety. So if you're kind of a weekend warrior when it comes to drinking, that could definitely be a part of the problem. And if you're on 7 days a week, what if you don't have a lot of separation between work and home? So really, you could have the Sunday scaries pretty much any day of the week if it is anticipatory anxiety for work. So let's think about what are some things that you might want to do if you are experiencing this. And what is most important is for you to be able to make a determination if the anxiety that you might be experiencing is anxiety like an anxiety disorder, something that is diagnosable, or is it about work and it being on Sunday night, right? Even if your Sunday night happens to be Wednesday night, think about like when you feel that way, because that will tell you whether, listen, you need to make changes. If you're feeling either one of those things, there are things that you can do to make it better. But it's important to know whether this is something that might need more mental wellness help, like a professional, or if it's something that you can just make these changes. So one thing to try is to really change your mind about it. That Wayne Dyer quote, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And this is also true. So changing your mindset could be one of the most powerful steps that you can take to curb Sunday anxiety, right? It's like, try to think about your weekend, if you work sort of a traditional job, as like a mini vacation or sacred time where you get a chance to fill up your own reserves, your own cup, feeling rested and ready for the week, because it's really impossible to perform optimally if we don't fill up our own cup, if we don't feel like we've actually rested, because eventually you will burn out. I also think there's something really valuable in taking some kind of a tech break, especially if you use your phone in the service of your job or even your computer. So taking some kind of a tech break, like actually powering down your devices over the weekend. It's like the line between life, right? Our real life and our work life. When the pandemic came, for many of us, it just started really blurring, right? What do people say? Like, is it Blur's Day? I feel like the entire pandemic, I felt like it was Blur's Day. Very difficult. So I feel like it's important that you make a delineation intentionally on your own. And getting off of tech could be one amazing way to give your eyes a break, give your brain a break, but also give your central nervous system a break. There is so much stimulation that happens when we're online in good and bad ways, but we don't need more stimulation when we are seeking to fill up our own cup, right? We need rest. We need to unplug and detach. Another thing that can be really helpful is creating some kind of a Sunday ritual. Something, because our minds really love consistency. We love predictability. So choose activities that you find relaxing and then institutionalize them. Like, this is what I do on Sunday afternoon. It could be anything that you find relaxing. It could be some kind of self-care. It could be baking. It could be watching a movie, taking a luxurious tub, taking some time out for some mindfulness practices, journaling. This predictability can inspire feelings of safety in us. And for many of us, we've been feeling incredibly unsafe for a really long time, which is exhausting. But it's safety and relaxation, which is what we need. The next piece, I want you to really get curious about your anxiety, really checking in with yourself. Is there merit to how you're feeling, right? Think about it. How satisfied are you in your current position? Are there conflicts at work, or do you have difficult personalities that might be fueling your Monday dread? A self-inquiry, answering these questions, looking at what is it that is really bothering me? Because if you can hone in, right, what if you have micromanagers in your life? What if your boss is an idiot, but you love your work? And then that may mean you might need another job, because someone asked me, if I get this Sunday Scaries, does that mean I need to get a new job? And I'm like, we can't know that until you uncover the root cause of your Sunday anxiety. That is when we can figure out what is actually happening. So you have to really take the time to look at, are there difficult personalities, or are you unsure about what you're supposed to be doing in your job, or are you completely overworked? And part of what you're dreading is the fact that you have more work than any person could get done in the week that you have to get it done. So there are many, many different things that could be happening for you. But it's really for you to do that inquiry, because there's no way I could ever make any recommendations about how to curb the Sunday Scaries if you don't understand what is causing them. I mean, you want to look and say, hey, do I have evidence that I always feel this way, even when I'm in my dream job? Like, think up to past jobs. Have you had the same experience on Sundays, or is that new to this job? And if it is, then I really want you to look at those things that I just talked about to see, wow, is there something that I'm not really looking at, but that is really stressful to me when I go to work? Another thing is really trying to flex your be here now muscle, right? Your present moment consciousness muscle, your ability to stop catastrophically projecting into the future, stop ruminating about the past, because both of those things mean that you are not here now. So easy meditations, you can do guided meditations, breathing exercises. There's so much mindfulness stuff out there for free. Just go on the App Store, go online. I've got tons of free meditations online. Just put in my name and look for free meditation and they will come up for you. Because I don't think that you need to meditate for like 2 hours a day. I think that consciously, every day, spending some time, I would say optimally, at least 20 minutes would be great, in some kind of stillness and silence, absolutely creates expansion internally. And that is really what we want, right? What is anxiety when you experience it? It feels like a constriction internally. It feels like there's not enough room for everything that we have going on inside. And when we are mindful and when we are present, when we are really in this moment right now, this precious, special, amazing moment that will literally never come again in our entire lives, we are expanded because we're not thinking about anything but what is happening right here, right now. And one of the main reasons you don't want, free-flowing anxiety or Sunday Scaries anxiety dominating you in any way is because that is a surefire way of not being in the present moment, because it is such a stressful experience. So, and the last thing I want to say about this is another thought is that on Sunday mornings, you could take some time to just mind dump. Sort of like Julia Cameron's morning pages in The Artist's Way, where just free write whatever is on your mind, whatever might be stressful or anything that comes out. It's sort of like clearing the cobwebs of your mind. So you're not carrying things, especially if they're anxiety-provoking things, into the next week with you. So it can be a Sunday morning, it can be a Monday morning, and this is also something that you could do every day if it's helpful. But think of it as like clearing out the dust bunnies in your mind so that you can sort of start the week with some kind of a clean slate. And listen, if you feel like the anxiety that you feel on Sundays and other days, if it's interrupting your sleep, if it is interfering with you executing the things you need to do in your life, taking care of kids, going to work, whatever those things are, if you feel depressed, these are all things that tell us, they're experiences that if you can't make sense of how you're feeling on Sundays, like there's no causation, it could just be anticipatory anxiety, that's no problem. But if you feel this way more than on Sundays, then I would encourage you to talk to a therapist. You can get help. There are amazing online therapy things available now, especially because of the pandemic. I mean, there was before the pandemic, but the pandemic made everybody have to go online, even people who didn't want to. So I have an affiliation with BetterHelp. They're amazing. I vetted them completely. So if you're looking for an online experience, you can go to terricole.com/BetterHelp and find some help there. You'll be matched with a therapist. And really, the last thing I want to say about this is how you feel matters. So if you are feeling this way, you don't need to suffer. Take the time to more deeply understand what you're experiencing so that your anxiety doesn't rob your weekend, right? It's sort of like there's a saying, like, don't let your thoughts of Monday rob you of your Sunday. And that's exactly what happens when we're sort of stuck in that anxiety or that dread of what is happening. And if you come to the conclusion that you have a toxic boss or you hate your job, listen, it doesn't mean everyone is in the position, I certainly wasn't when I was young, to just quit your job. But that is data for you to make a decision. Is it possible for you to start putting your feelers out there? Can you apply for jobs while you still keep the job that you have if what you really determine when you do the deep dive is that the workplace, it's a toxic workplace for you? Even if you're taking slow steps to get yourself out of there, it really does matter. So you can get information about this episode. Just go to terricole.com/guide, and I put a bunch of things in there for you. I hope that this added value. I hope that it debunked or decoded the Sunday Scaries for you. If you liked it, please share it in your world. I would super appreciate that. I hope you have an amazing week. And as always, take care of you.